It's time for the Margin Matters Minute with Money Man Jason Brown.
All right, welcome back to another edition of the Margin Matters Minute. My name is Jason Brown, and today I have a very special guest, an expert realtor, Mr. Jim Martell. We're talking about real estate. Today's topic is renting versus buying, which is a hot button topic, especially in the market today. Everyone wants to know, should I rent or should I buy? What's the most wise thing to do, I guess. So Mr. Jim Martell has joined us. He has nearly 20 years of experience in the real estate market as a realtor. He is also a military veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps. So I want to thank him for his service to our country. First of all, we really appreciate that. Now, Jim is a managing partner at Vested Interest Partners with Keller Williams Realty First Atlanta. So hopefully I said that right, and you can clarify if I did not. But
you got it, man. That was perfect.
Yeah, it's a mouthful for sure. So Jim, thanks so much for joining us and dropping some knowledge on us today about renting versus buying.
Sure, my pleasure. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate your time, and I know a lot of people are going to learn something from us or from you, not me today. So I reached out to Jim, and I'll also mention that I actually met Jim about 10 years ago. We were connected through some other church members, and we started Jim actually started a small group, a men's group, and I joined his group. And we've been connected and friends ever since. So I stay in touch with Jim, and I always email him questions about real estate, and he's very gracious to help me out with stuff. So I wanted to share some of his knowledge with you guys. So the first question I guess I should ask is this actually all started with my mother-in-law. She actually lives out in the Phoenix area, Phoenix market, Phoenix, Arizona. And she and her husband have been longtime renters. They rent a home out there. And she sends me a note, says, Jason, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing here, but we've been renting for over 10 years. And I believe they were paying somewhere like $1,500 or $1,600 a month to rent their house. And she said, we've paid, so she was kind of reflecting back and almost, I don't know if she was having buyer's remorse or whatever it was. But she said, over 10 years, we've paid $156,000 in rent. Should we have done that, right? So did we just, throw our money away, or what if we would have invested that into a house that would have appreciated in value? So that people ask that question a lot. So Jim, what do you think? Like, is there a formula that people should kind of look at when they make these type of decisions?
Sure, absolutely. And actually you can Google rent versus buy, and you'll come up, of course, with the internet's answer, which is going to be 100 different answers that say you should definitely buy, and then there's going to be 100 different people that say, well, you should rent. And it all comes down to what matters, to you in the situation that you're in at that time. But over time, there is zero question, if you have some stability, if you want to be somewhere, if your goal is to build wealth as well as have a place to live, then ownership beats renting hands down. And it's something that you can do with an Excel spreadsheet, or even just pen and paper. You can figure it out on pen and paper, the cost of things.
That's good. So yeah, I guess the big thing that people will say, and I don't know, Jim, clear this up. This might not always be true, but the big thing that people will say is, oh, if you're renting, you're literally flushing your money down the toilet. Now, I don't know if I used to believe that 100%. Now, I don't know if that's really true. I think it might be more of like an individual case by case basis. And people like Clark Howard, who's a consumer advocate here in the Atlanta market, and there's other people who have some sort of formula of, well, if by years, right? So if you're only planning on living here for whatever it is, under 3 years, then you should rent. Or if you're going to plan on living there for 5 years or more, you should buy. Are there any type of formulas like that you would recommend looking at or considering?
Yeah, we can definitely take a look at those. What I recommend, and I don't have a pat answer today, and here's why. Jason, normally I would agree. There is a break-even period
Right.
when you compare the cost of obtaining a mortgage and the payments that you make on that mortgage. When you add those up over time, you can compare that directly with the cost of renting versus that over that period of time instead. And you can tell when your break even period is over. And historically, maybe it's 3 or 4 or 5 years before that break even period is reached. I do want to point out, though, that in today's market, we've seen, and I just had a closing for a client. She bought a home in November of 2019. And in November 2020, she called me and said, I want to sell my house.
Oh, wow.
Normally, I would say, oh, no, you're going to lose money
Hmm.
just because the cost of obtaining a mortgage, the cost of selling a home will offset any appreciation, or I shouldn't say any appreciation, though, because the fact of the matter is her home in that 12-month period that she owned it, it appreciated about 20%. And so
Okay.
the costs of selling did not wipe out her
Right.
equity. In fact, she walked away with a much larger check than she thought she would.
Wow.
And that made all the difference in the world for her and for her situation. Still, I don't recommend people, buy houses like you're buying a day trading stock or something like that, thinking that you're going to flip it, for a
Right.
12% gain,
Right.
in 3 months. It's not typical. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just don't recommend it. It's
Right.
not a
Now,
wise.
now, will you share where this individual was that in the Atlanta market?
It was in the Atlanta market. It
Okay.
was in a bedroom community called Locust Grove on the south
Okay.
side. It could have been Cumming. It could have been, Swanee.
Right.
It could have been Carrollton.
Okay.
These things are over the past year and a half. That's just what's been going on.
Right. And to give context, yeah, I wanted to let the viewers know we're talking about the Atlanta area market with that example. And also to give a little more context, you said, yeah, your client, it basically sounded like she flipped the house and she gained 20%. Now that is completely abnormal because if you look at history past 50 years plus, I want to say and you correct me if I'm wrong, Jim, because you know this more than me. I want to say the average appreciation in home value is somewhere around 6% a year. Does that sound
I think it might even be lower than that.
okay?
Average wise, it might be 3 or 4%.
Okay.
And,
So
and I,
so
yeah,
so for her to get 20%, that's like winning the lottery, right? I mean, that's huge.
it was pretty big. It was pretty big. Now we didn't list it for 20% over what she paid for it. We listed it for about 10% more than what she paid for it. We just
Okay.
happened to get a significant amount more because of just where the market was at that
Hmm.
time. And,
Hmm.
you know, if you were watching this today and if you were watching this in April of 2021, it's even better to be a seller. But if you're watching this, in October or some other time, um, it the situation changes is what I'm
Right.
getting at.
Right.
And so in November 2020, we had multiple offers that drove the price up and made the terms better for the seller, such that we were able to close quickly uh, with an investor who bought it and got out for, like I said, 20% more than what she paid for it just a year earlier.
Very, very good. That's a very good story to share, like an example. Now, I want to jump back a little bit to now. Of course, I also live in Atlanta, so that's my only basis of a comparison is what's going on in the Atlanta real estate market. So,
Sure.
so when we talk about renting versus buying, so in Atlanta, the rental rates are very, very high. I mean, you'll see, one bedroom, I don't know, 800 square foot apartments that are going for $1,200 and up, starting out. And right now, what we have is we have historic record low mortgage rates, which is why everyone is saying, well, you got to buy a house, you got to buy. you're stupid not to buy a house because you can get 2.5%, 3%, which is, unheard of. So it kind of seems like a no-brainer, but let us know, shed some light on this. If someone is going to rent a 1-bedroom, 800 square foot apartment for $1,200 a month, or they can go buy a single family 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and have a mortgage payment of literally half, $500 or $600 or $700 a month. It seems like a no-brainer, but let me know otherwise. What do you think, Jim?
Sure. Well, again, it ultimately comes down to what your goals are and, what kind of flexibility you need. Not everybody should be a homeowner. And yet about 70% of Americans are homeowners, and it is the most common. I'm pretty sure, I was about to say it's the most common investment that people use to build wealth. Although there's an awful lot of 401ks out there. And so I didn't want to misspeak.
Right.
I'm not sure if it's 70% versus 90 or what, but 70% of Americans do own real estate and use real estate ultimately, whether it's intentional or not, to build their wealth and their net worth. And so your question might be better answered if we used an example. Can I share my screen with you, and we'll just get online and do something
this
real
will be really
quick?
cool.
Let
I
me
think
share.
this will be neat to see.
Yeah. Well, let me just share this real quick, and let's go to Bankrate.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's check this out.
Okay, so there's a mortgage calculator that comes up.
Okay.
And so this is at bankrate.com. It's not advertiser supported as far as I can tell, which is good. I don't want somebody else's real estate ads coming up on my video, right?
Right.
So you were talking about a $1,200 a month payment. Let's do this real quick because there are 4 elements to a payment, right? You got principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And so the taxes in Metro Atlanta, we're just going to assume are about $250 a month in that price range, just for the sake of argument. We're going to say homeowners insurance, that 66 is probably about right.
Okay.
And let's assume 0 HOA fees, although those can be wildly impactful on your mortgage payment overall, on your monthly payment.
Right.
Let's assume that this is just a house that you're going to have a $1,200 a month payment on. So I need to lower the home price with these 2 factors in. I need to lower the home price to get to that 1,200 mark.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So there's close enough as a $275,000 purchase price. If you were to put 20% down, let's make it 3% down.
Okay.
Okay. Whoops, just went past it. So again, $1,200 a month with those property tax and homeowners insurance figures in, and only 3 or 3.5% down. You're looking at a $235,000 purchase price house, which is not bad, not bad at all. Now, in fact, the house that we were talking about just a minute ago, where my seller sold in just a year, she sold at 245.
Okay.
And had bought for about 200. So,
oh wow.
It's a realistic possibility now. And the further out you go, generally speaking, the more house you're going to get. Locust Grove is, like I said, it's a bedroom community, but you're not walking into downtown Roswell from Locust Grove. It's a hall.
True.
It's got its own community. Anyway.
Gotcha.
So the reason I pulled this up is because if you're looking at a $235,000 house that you're living in for $1,200 a month, with pretty minimal numbers down in terms of the cost of getting into that house, compare that with renting at $1,200 a month. Now, what can you get? Do you know where you can get that place for $1,200 a month? Is that in your neighborhood?
Yeah, those are probably like Roswell area rates from just friends and just people that I've talked to, like, hey, where are you living? How much are you paying?
Gotcha.
Um,
And you said that that was like a 1 bedroom place, right?
yeah, like a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, about a eight or 900 square foot apartment
Right.
in, a somewhat decent area outside of Atlanta. They're going to start out, around 1,000 to probably 900 to $1,200 range a month, I would
Right.
say, just from what I've gathered, just from conversations I talk to people. So,
Right. Right. And this $235,000 house that I'm talking about for the same monthly price
mhm,
is going to have at least 3 bedrooms, at least 2 bathrooms, um, at least 1,200, if not 1,800, if not 3,000 square feet
right.
potentially. And so it's a much larger home. And like I said, it depends on what your goals are
Yeah.
and how you want to live.
Yeah. This is good, man. This is a real good, tangible example, to let people see, what their, I guess, options are when they're considering, what's my budget? How much can I afford? Should I rent or should I buy? And I get the mindset of renting because you're not locked down or you're tied down, and that's kind of an old mindset. I'll say, people that have rented in the past, they'll say, oh, well, this allows me to, if I want to move or if I get another job or whatever, I can always break my lease, right, and just pay the penalty if I get a job, on the other side of the country, or if I have to move abruptly or something happens, a lifestyle change or something.
Sure.
But I think that's changed, Jim, because of what's going on with the real estate market, because it's such a seller's market right now that people can sell their house so quickly, when in the past they couldn't. They would have to put their house for sale and it would sit on the market for 90 days at least before they got any kind of traction or movement. So I think, at least currently, those days are gone, right?
If a home is priced correctly and it's in proper move-in condition, or if it's priced correctly for whatever condition it's in, and if it's marketed properly, it's going to go fast.
Right, right. Those are good points.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up this, topic, rent versus buy, do you have any final thoughts or wisdom or advice that you want to share, before we wrap up, Jim?
Well, I'd be more than happy to field anyone's questions if they have. It is an individual case by case
Right,
basis, and
right,
everything. I have kind of a tagline. I have a few of them actually, but one of them is it starts with a conversation,
right.
and so by all means, feel free to reach out to me by email or by telephone, and I'm more than happy to help facilitate that conversation for you.
Awesome. Well, since you brought it up, I was going to give you the opportunity. How can people connect with you? I know you serve the Atlanta area market, but I think you're trying to expand and branch out to the Southeast region. So share a little bit about that and let us know if you have a website or phone number, and we'll link all that in the description below as well. But, how can people connect with you?
Sure, great question. So you can certainly email me. It's jim@listwiththevest.com. And that's vest as in the vest that I'm wearing. And that's for vested interest partners, if you will. So, and of course, my phone number is 678-757-4550, like it says on the screen. And so you can give me a call, shoot me a text message, shoot me an email, and we'll start the conversation. And
Awesome.
you asked about, our expansion plans.
Oh yeah.
Currently, vested interest partners, it's we have 3 agents and administrative staff, and we cover all of Metro Atlanta and North Georgia. We are expanding not only the number of agents that we have covering those areas, but we're also expanding into the upstate region of South Carolina within the next 12 to 18 months for sure.
Okay.
And we'll just see what God has in store for us after that.
Great. That's great, man. Well, thanks so much, Mr. Jim Martell, longtime realtor, an expert in his field, for your knowledge on renting versus buying. And before we wrap up, I'll just say thanks for everyone for watching. If you want to support me, you can go to my website, yourmarginmatters.com, and you can learn about my book, Margin Matters, that I wrote, which is available on Amazon.com as well. And thank you so much for watching. And until next time, remember, this is Jason Brown saying that it's not the amount of money you make, but the margin that matters the most. See you next time.
Bye-bye.